Nvidia in deep trouble. Steam in deep trouble. And Epic Games in deep trouble, laying off 16% of their staff and more in today's news video. Welcome back to another news video, and let's get into today's first story, shall we? And this story comes from TechSpot. Nvidia's offices raided by antitrust enforcers in France over concerns related to anti-competitive practices. This is huge, and this is bad for Nvidia, that their offices are getting raided in the EU for anti-competitive practices. Because the EU takes this really seriously. What's just happened? Nvidia's offices in France have been raided by the country's antitrust enforcers over suspicions of anti-competitive practices, while the likes of Google and Apple have long fought anti-competitive charges from regulators. This would be the first time Team Green, which has seen its stock skyrocket since the AI boom began, has been accused of such things. The Wall Street Journal writes that the French Competition Authority did not name the location that had been targeted in the dawn raid this week. However, the agency said in a press release that it was a company suspected of having implemented anti-competitive practices in the graphic card sector. People familiar with the matter said Nvidia was the subject of the raid. The Wall Street Journal writes that these types of raids occur first thing in the morning and usually involve authorities seizing a company's premises and physical and digital materials, as well as interviewing employees who arrived for work. And this isn't good. They seized everything, the building, everything that's in there, all the hard drives, computers, logins, everything, all that, the servers, anything that's in that building, the French authorities now have control of and can go through and do anything that they want with. So, yep, it says in this, Nvidia has benefited massively from AI, which is true. And the company's revenue for... What? This isn't right. It says Q2 financial year 2024 came in at a massive 13.5 billion. We're still in 2023. Have I lost my mind? I go crazy? No, my calendar's telling me that it's 29th of September 2023. Did someone just mess up and put a 4 instead of a 3? I'm gonna guess it's a 4 instead of a 3. Anyway, thanks to high margins it makes on data center cards, Nvidia generates up to 1000% profit on every H100 GPU sold. The company made 6.1 billion in profit during the quarter, up 843% year on year, more than triple what it made during the previous quarter. The French authority said it conducted the raid following an investigation into the cloud computing sector, which examined concerns that smaller companies were being unfairly pushed out by larger firms with access to more computing power. The results of that inquiry, published in June, focused on 3 hyperscalers dominating the industry: Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. Nvidia is not mentioned in the investigation. The French agency emphasizes that dawn raids do not propose the existence of a breach of the law, adding that only a full investigation could determine if any crimes are being committed. And this isn't good for Nvidia at all, because even if it isn't the thing that they're looking for, the French authorities, they can find other things. They could find other things. They might have had a very legitimate concern and just reasoning for entering these offices, for one thing. But when they forensically go through all these documents, hard drives, data, emails, everything like that, there is a chance that they might find more. There is a chance that they might find something else, and not good. I will be interested to see where this goes. But moving on, our next story comes from Eurogamer. Steam key geo-blocking infringed EU competition law, court finds after Valve tried to convince it otherwise. Oh, this isn't good. Valve has failed to convince the European Union's Court of Justice that it did not infringe EU law by geo-blocking activation keys on Steam. 5 other video games publishers were also found to have breached anti-competitive practices: Bandai Namco, Capcom, Focus Home, Koch Media, and ZeniMax. As a reminder, the European Commission announced plans back in 2017 to investigate Valve and the aforementioned PC game publishers over suspected anti-competitive practices. It says the previous suspicions were that agreements between Valve and the publishers broke EU competition rules by restricting retail prices or excluding customers from certain offers because of their nationality or location, which isn't allowed. So companies better watch out, because EU's cracking down, and I love to see it. The Commission aimed to find out whether the agreements between Valve and the publishers required the use of activation keys for the purpose of geo-blocking, preventing consumers from using digital content because of their location or country of residence. Now, a new ruling has concluded Valve and the other 5 publishers had indeed infringed EU law. Valve tried to state it had not infringed the law by arguing that publishers had the right to charge different prices for their games in different countries. However, the court has dismissed this, and here is what they said. In agreeing bilaterally to that geo-blocking, the operator of the Steam platform, Valve, and 5 PC video game publishers unlawfully restricted cross-border sales of certain PC video games that are compatible with that platform, the court said. This instance of geo-blocking was then used to eliminate parallel imports of those video games and protect the high royalty amounts collected by the publishers on the margins earned by Valve. And there is a full statement here. I'm not going to read all of it. I'll go through and pick out the relevant bits. But first bit is that the commission established that requisite legal standards, the existence of an agreement or concerted practice between Valve and the publishers did exist, that they were using geo-blocking in order to prevent video games distributed in certain countries at lower prices from being purchased by distributors or users located in other countries where prices are much higher. Thus, the geo-blocking at issue did not pursue an objective of protecting the copyright of the publishers or the PC video games, but was used to eliminate parallel imports of those video games and protect the high royalty amounts. And yep, I don't agree with geo-blocking. I think that regardless of where you live, you should be able to purchase the game for a cheap price. It shouldn't cost more in one nation than it does in the other, especially not for games that you download online. It makes no sense and it's stupid. It's like, when it's a physical product, you can understand, because physical products have to be shipped and made and stuff, and there's cost with shipping, making, and getting stuff to where it needs to be, and there might not be enough stock in, and that might make prices high, or there might be loads of stock in a certain place, and that lowers prices because there's large stock but less demand, or there's high demand and less stock, and that raises prices, right? Economics 101. When it comes to non-physical products like subscriptions or buying digital keys for products that you download and activate, all of that, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't cost more for you to activate that key in another nation than it does to anywhere else, right? It doesn't affect you anymore. So having different regional prices based upon where someone lives is just, it's a form of economic discrimination. That's the way I see it. It's a form of economic discrimination because you're basically setting up a bias based upon where people live and where they're from or where they reside, right? You're basically setting up a bias where it says, oh, well, you live in this nation, you're going to pay more for the thing. Even though it doesn't cost us more for you to download it or use it because it's a digital product, we're going to charge you more because you just happen to live in this place. Now, with taxes in mind and stuff, that makes sense why there would be some variation in prices to a degree, but prices should be relatively in line with one another. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this one down below about Steam and the geo-blocking. I just think it shouldn't be a thing, and that prices should be standardized around the world, and then have taxes added on top, right? So, you should decide, I want the game to retail at, I don't know, $30. It'll be $30, right? You set it at $30, and then you add tax on at the end, and that's the price, right? If there's a sale of the game, it shouldn't just be on sale in America, or it shouldn't be on sale just in the UK, or somewhere else, right? It should be on sale worldwide for, I don't know, say it's 90% off, so it would be $3 instead of $30, right? It would be $3 instead of $30. It should be $3 around the world plus taxes, and that should just be how it is. Let me know what you guys think. Moving into our next story, which comes from Polygon, and this one is about Fortnite. Yeah. Well, Epic Games to be specific. Epic Games, who's worth billions, cuts its staff by 16%. So 800 people have been laid off from Epic Games. The layoffs just keep coming on in, guys. Every day, every week, there's this more. Epic Games, which makes Fortnite and Unreal Engine, is laying off a devastating 16% of its workforce, leaving roughly 830 workers without jobs. Management reportedly emailed last Thursday to share the news. Bloomberg News first reported the layoffs before Epic Games published its internal memo online. So, people found out from Bloomberg that they were being fired, or they were about to be fired, before Epic Games actually managed to tell them. Nice, isn't it? Anyway, Epic Games says, for a while now, we've been spending way more money than we earn. investing in the next evolution of Epic, and growing Fortnite as a metaverse-inspired ecosystem for creators. CEO Tim Sweeney wrote in an email to staff, "I have long been optimistic that we could power through this transition without layoffs, but in retrospect I see that this was unrealistic." Reached for comment, an Epic Games representative pointed Polygon to Sweeney's memoir. The impacted people from the layoffs will get 6 months of severance and health benefits, which Sweeney wrote. The company is also expected to divest from 2 acquisitions by selling recently unionized music site Bandcamp and spinning off most of its marketing company, Super Awesome. Roughly 250 people are leaving Epic Games due to the divestitures. Epic Games is valued at $31.5 billion. Whew. And we should all know by now it's owned 40% by Tencent. But apparently Tim Sweeney owns the majority of Epic Games' remaining shares, so he is a wealthy man. While Fortnite is starting to grow again, the growth is driven primarily by creator content with significant revenue sharing, and this is a lower margin business than we had when Fortnite Battle Royale took off and began funding our expansion. Sweeney wrote, "Success with the creator ecosystem is a great achievement, but it means a major structure change for our economics." And apparently 2/3 of the cuts were outside of core development. Some products will stay on schedule while others may be delayed. We're going to move on to our second part of this story, which is that Eurogamer has more information, and that is that the Fallout Guys developers have been hit hard by Epic Games layoffs. The studio will remain open, but it's apparently being described as decimation. Mediatonic, the UK developer behind Fall Guys, has been severely impacted by expected job losses as a result of yesterday's layoffs by Epic Games, though the studio itself will not be closed. Epic Games acquired the company back in March 2021 after the studio's Battle Royale Fall Guys blew up in popularity. The deal was meant to secure the company's future. Now, despite the studio remaining open, the future looks very different indeed. And wow. They were expecting the studio to actually close because of the rumours that were going around, but it isn't going to close, it's going to remain open. Mediatonic's work on Fall Guys continues to be a company priority. An Epic Games spokesperson told me today, right, dozens of Mediatonic staff now taking to social media, not looking for new positions elsewhere. Stuff I've heard from said scale of the cuts is huge. So can you say what the scale of the cuts is? Yeah, we know that they confirmed it. Okay, this is bad. We don't get the exact numbers here, but this is what's wrote at the end. Job losses at Mediatonic, according to posts shared by staff publicly on social media, look to cover almost every area of the business, from IT support, marketing, software development, character artists, gameplay programmers, level designers, producers, and narrative staff. And apparently one staff member said on social media that Mediatonic now had no writers left at all. Ooh, let that sink in. They've got no writers left at all. No narrative staff. They're gone. Let me know what you think about these layoffs with Epic Games, and I feel really bad for the Fall Guys people. They work hard on their game, right? And they try to make it as fun as possible, and I do hope that they find jobs elsewhere. I really, really do hope they find jobs elsewhere and can pursue their career still and carry on making games and hopefully be in a more secure position. But this is another example of another company that was bought, that the FTC didn't care about this one either, and now they're getting laid off, right? Another studio bought FTC. Well, we don't care about this one. We don't care that it's being sold. It's going to be fine. And then a few years, less than 2 years down the line, and the majority of the staff just being laid off. Moving on. Our next story comes from Tech Raptor, and it's about the FTC, which resumes to fight against Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Like tongue twisters these lately. According to the order, returning matter to adjudication published by the regulator and signed by its secretary April J. Tabor, the FTC believes that the public interest warrants that this matter be resolved fully and expeditiously. The case was paused back in July, according to the Commission's rules of practice, after both the District Court and Court of Appeals denied the emergency injunctions of the FTC, who were trying to block the acquisition, and both failed. They were both denied. Now the case is set to resume with the evidentiary hearing, or to go forward 21 days after the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals publishes its decision mentioned above. Incidentally, the court also states that the order also states that evidentiary hearing will be publicly broadcasted via telephone or live streamed, which will be interesting. Of course, this doesn't mean the FTC can effectively block the acquisition from happening before the hearing. It has no power to do so without a preliminary injunction that it has not been granted. And Microsoft and Activision are working towards closing the deal, and this is after the British regulator is given their preliminary approval to allow the deal to go through, and that decision is expected to be finalised very soon, and much before the FTC can do anything to block the merger. The acquisition will likely close before the FTC can hold its administrative adjudication, which means that they'll have to seek a divestiture of the company, which wouldn't really work. It would be an uphill and prolonged battle, according to this article, which it would be. They would have to take it through the courts. It would have to be a whole legal thing, and I can't see them winning that. Their only chance to stop this is to stop it before it happens, because once it's happened, there really isn't a clean way to go back, and there wouldn't be a very justified way of going back. And regulators from all over the world have gradually approved the deal, and the only one who's trying to block this now is the FTC. They're the only ones who are trying to block this, and it's a losing battle. It's interesting that they're trying to block this, but the FTC didn't care about Epic buying stuff. They didn't care about, Embrace Group buying loads of companies and stuff and causing a mess. They didn't care about Sony buying Bungie, right? But they care about Activision Blizzard, and we're seeing layoffs across a bunch of other companies. That happened from acquisitions, where the FTC didn't stick the nose in at all and didn't care. But apparently this one matters more. I really do think that the FTC is two-sided in the way they do things. I don't think they have the best intentions for people at all, but certainly not have the consumers in mind, that's for certain. Let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Do you think the FTC will block it? Or do you think it'll go through before then and they'll just have to sit there with sour grapes in the mouth? And our next story comes from Eurogamer. And this one is about PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, who is retiring in March after nearly 30 years at Sony. And he says, "I've relished the opportunity to have a job I love in a very special company. And the only thing I can say is, good riddance. I'm glad you are retiring because you are one of the most toxic people who run a company. Frankly, I used to really, really love PlayStation and Sony. I had a PS1, I had a PS2, I had a PS3, I even had a PS4. And I saw slowly how the company was changing and the way they were doing things and how they were getting more predatory with the way they monetize stuff, and I didn't like it. One reason I didn't like Microsoft was because you had to pay to play online. You needed Xbox, whatever it was. What was it on the 360? Was it the gold, or was it like the thing that you bought every month or something? Or you had to have like the pass thing. I can't remember what it was. And then they added obviously the PlayStation Plus to play stuff. And no, I just don't like it. I don't want to have a subscription to play my games, right? I do find Jim Ryan to be a very, very toxic person. He has complained about Microsoft being anti-consumer and having anti-competitive practices and how they're bad for gaming and how PC's bad for gaming and how Nintendo's bad for gaming. Apparently everyone's bad for gaming except Sony, right? Talk about throwing stones in glass houses, right? And it's ironic given the fact that Sony is being sued actively and being looked into by other people as well for anti-consumer and anti-competitive practices. And yeah, when like people say like, or someone's projecting, Jim Ryan's projecting when he talks about other companies, because what he's really talking about is what he and Sony have done. We're going to go into his statement. His statement announces retirement. Ryan wrote, "I've relished the opportunity to have a job I love in a very special company, working with great people and incredible partners. But I found it increasingly difficult to reconcile living in Europe and working in North America. I will leave having been privileged to work on products that have touched millions of lives across the world. PlayStation will always be part of my life, and I feel more optimistic than ever about the future of Sony Interactive Entertainment. I want to thank Sony CEO Kenshiro Yoshida for placing so much trust in me and being an incredibly sensitive and supportive leader." Sony Group Corporation President, Chief Operating Officer, and Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki will assume the role of Sony Interactive Entertainment Chairman in October this year to support Ryan in his transition. Totoki will then become interim CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, alongside his current role at Sony as of 1st of April next year. And he says, I'm immensely grateful to Jim for all his achievements, Kenshiro Yoshida wrote in a statement accompanying news of Ryan's retirement. Respecting Jim's decision to finish his long career at Sony leaves me with an important decision regarding his succession, given the significance of the game and network services business. We have discussed intensively and have determined a new management structure. We aim to achieve Sony Group further evolution and growth through bringing ever greater success to game and network services business. I hope that that's a poor translation or something. I feel like that was wrote by someone corporate. And I hope it wasn't the CEO that wrote that himself, because it sounds very, very impersonal. It sounds like a machine said it. Yeah, Jim Ryan's gone. He's left the company, and I don't know. Well, I do know that I'm kind of happy, because now it means that hopefully whoever's the next person will not make the gaming space so toxic, will not demean other companies and say that consumers who use their product are bad people. And that's the way he made it across, right? Like, it was very degrading, some of the things he says about people who use other services, in the sense of like saying that there's immense value in PlayStation Plus and there's absolutely no value in Games Pass, and for the millions of subscribers who use it. Like, who is Jim Ryan to tell consumers who pay with their money where and what they can find value in and what is valuable? But goodbye, Jim Ryan. Enjoy your retirement. I do hope that you find some peace now that you're out of the gaming sphere and you don't let that toxicity carry on with you. I feel maybe that you've been in the gaming industry a bit too long and you've let things go a bit too far. Let me know what you guys below think of Jim Ryan leaving Sony. Are you happy that he's retiring? Are you unhappy that Jim Ryan's retiring? Do you agree that he pushed a lot of negative narratives towards other gamers and consumers who no longer wanted to be on the PlayStation platform or were on many platforms and enjoyed other content from the likes of Nintendo, from Steam, from PC, from, Xbox, to Xbox Games Pass, to all the other services and gaming sectors and everything that we enjoy? Let me know down below. As well, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace out. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.